kia ora everybody. I grew up in a place called Rotorua. I come from a family of 8, which 5 of us are adopted. So we're a bit of a fruit salad of a whānau. But also growing up in that environment, had lots of people come over, a very, very loving environment. Mum and dad were awesome, but also they fostered over, I say, 2,000 kids as well growing up. So we've always had kids to look after. So like I said, it was an awesome upbringing. Had where we lived in Rotorua, there was a golf course, cricket field, or pitch, whatever it is, rugby and soccer fields, and tennis courts pretty much surrounding our home. So me and my little brother, there's a bit of an age difference between all the siblings, but me and my younger are the closest. So we would just get out there, play sport until it was dark and had to come home. So that's why I got my upbringing was from there. It's
quite rare for someone like your parents to be that generous with their love, not only to yourselves but all these other children that come, fostering all of them as well. Like, does that influence your almost your style of parenting?
Oh, 100%, bro. It's I wouldn't be the person I am without the love and the family and the environment that I grew up in. Man, like even now, like I'm always been big on looking after people and putting others first and serving people. And that just comes straight from my upbringing. I know I haven't got the same bloodline as my mum and dad. My mum and dad are white, so my dad's from England and mum's from Holland. So if you saw my parents and half my brothers and sisters are white, so you'd be like, what the hell? But we may not have the same blood, but we still got the same roots and the same values, which mum and dad installed in us. And that's why I'm so grateful to have a opportunity to have a life like that, because who knows, when you're adopted, you can go anywhere and any path they could take them. Just like I said, I'm grateful that I got chosen to head up to Rotorua.
Bit of a prodigy coming out of high school there, onto the sevens track. And then when you were playing rugby in high school, did you always think that, or was that kind of come as a surprise? How was that for you?
Nah, so I played football or soccer when I was little. My dad's English from Bristol. He supports the Bristol Bears. So all of us grew up playing soccer, and I played till I was about 11 or 12, and I was the goalie, and I hated being goalie, man. I was just like, this sucks. And then one of my good friends, who I'm still friends with now, just picked me up one day and took me to his local club team. And the rest is history pretty much. And from there I went to obviously boys high, the only boys high in New Zealand. And I was lucky enough to have a real good principal and good coaches around me. And I didn't realise I was good at rugby until, of all people, my mother. My mother said, we went to an under-15s tournament in Australia. I forgot what it's called. And I got player of the tournament. And I got home and Mum's like, she knows nothing about rugby, like zero. She only just watches me and that's it. And she said, oh, gee, boy, you're pretty good at the sport, eh? You could, potentially have a career in it. And I was just like, didn't think any of it. And I was like, oh, actually, I could. And then the following year, when I turned 16, I was playing a lot of sevens with senior men's sides, and I made the Bay of Plenty senior men's sides for the Nationals that year. And out of nowhere, Titch picked me for the trials. I'm 16 years old. To be fair, I was bigger then than I am now. I was about 120 clicks. I was a big kid.
Holy
probably a bit more than 120, probably close to 130.
At 16.
But I was a big kid.
At
16.
That's a few boil-ups there, cuz. Boil-ups there, bro.
The diet wasn't on point back then.
Yeah.
But yes, I went to the Nationals. We made the final that year for the Bay. I think we played North Harbour. They had guys like Craig Newby, Carlton Nana, all the greats in their team. And I made the trial team. Like, I was shocked. I was 16 years old. Didn't expect anything. Went to the trial. You heard all about Gordon Titch's hell camps and whatnot. So I was shitting my pants. I was like just this kid. I rocked up and I was terrible. Like, the 3 time trial, I was like, can't remember what it was, like 13 or something. It was like one of the worst times that I had, and I struggled all in the fitness testing and everything. But in the games, I was sort of holding my own.
Yeah,
and I was doing okay, and like I missed out on the squad. But Titch pulled me aside and he said he saw what he saw in me, and he just said, if you got fitter, you would have been in this team, and if you get fitter, you'll make this team. So from that day on, just something switched in my brain, and I went pretty handy. I went running every day, got real fit. Like only ate boiled chicken and veggies. Dropped all this weight, and then the following year, my last year at high school, I made the sevens team. So I was pretty lucky to have those sort of role models or that sort of guidance at such a young age.
Bro, so you were 17. You're 17. Still at school. Made the New Zealand Sevens. So were you still at school when you were going on tours, or had you finished school?
Yeah, no, I still had the last part of school, end of school, last half of school to and play sevens, which was, I was like 17 years old, traveling the world and having, your rugby idols, take you under their wing and look after you was it's still pretty buzzy now, actually talking about it.
How did the exams go, bro? How did your interview exams?
Do you remember when he was giving the thing and it said honorary masters?
Yeah.
So they just give you it. But to be honest, bro, I ain't gonna lie. I was went to school for sports, and like I preach now to all the younger kids to focus on education, because it does play a big part. And I guess that's why I'm a bit nervous speaking on podcasts on this, like my first one, just because it's like I guess I don't have the talk or the words to come up. So my education was rugby pretty much. That's all I lived and breathed every day when I was at high school. Just footy. So exams didn't exist for me.
Were you getting paid when you were at school and playing New Zealand Sevens? Like, was that a paid gig?
No, you get paid. It was like, but it wasn't much, bro. Sevens back in the day I think it was $2,000 a tournament, and I think it might have been 15,000 your sign-on fee, whatever it was. So I was bugger all. Well, not like now it's bugger all, but back then, 17-year-old kid getting that cash.
You must have been like, yo, I'm balling.
Oh no, this is the other thing, bro. Like I'm so blessed that I had good people around me when I was younger. Guys like Eric Rush, Carlton Nana, Mato Parkinson, and I remember Rushy sat us down, all the young players, and he told us what to do with our money, like how to save it and what to buy. And at the time, Anthony Tuatavaki bought what are those cars? Like a Mitsubishi something. He bought one of those, bro, and sat us down in a room and just ripped into muscle about buying this car and like telling us, boys, you don't need to waste your money on this shit. You just get from A to B, put your money here, here, and here. And so I just, like I said, I was really blessed to have guys like that around me to sort of show me the way and what to do. But I did splash out, and I did buy. You guys are probably too young, but I bought this a TV of the big box, and it's like about 10 feet deep. It cost about $3,000 at the time, but yeah, she was pretty ugly. That's the only thing I really bought, and then with my paycheck.
Go on, and then 20 years old, you go on, and then you win the World Series of the boys.
Captain the team then?
It's a long time ago. Yeah, so, 17, 18. I had these great role models like Eric Rush, like I said, and then all of a sudden they all left. And they left us with a pretty young team. And still had guys like Marcel Valance. You guys might not remember him, but I reckon he's probably the greatest New Zealand Sevens player ever. He was mad. We had all these sort of older guys. And then out of the blue, just Titch just asked me if I was up to be the captain of the side. I'm just like, bro, I'm just a 20-year-old. The only team I've captained was my boys' high team before, and that was about it. So I just took the challenge and then just went with it. And I was just lucky enough once again to use the people in my life before with their values and whatnot to lead the way I do.
And how did you make that transition, being from like a young up-and-comer, probably for 17 to 20, being 3 years in the squad, and then leading the squad, particularly when it's Sevens is a lot smaller, tight-knit units. Rather than like 15s, you have a large team. Sevens is a lot tighter units, so relationships and kind of those bonds you forge are a lot more, I suppose, important in terms of success. How did you go about that, bro, transitioning to a leader and kind of empowering the team around you?
Yeah, bro. So as you're a younger player, as you guys will know, you just do as the older person done, or what they put down onto you, and you obviously put your own little twist in. So I guess my mode of being a leader came from Eric Rush, who didn't say a lot, but he was always the hardest working in the team. Bro, he played until he was like 40, and he was still winning the beat test and all that, bro. And I'm just like, bro, and he would only say if he had to say something, and he'll be straight to the point and very direct about it. But then there's the off-field side of things where he's like, because I guess he's older, he's like sort of co-martyr of the team and looking after us and making sure we done right. So I just pretty much just copied exactly what he done. I didn't say much. If I did say something, then I made sure it was straight to the point, and I just made sure that I was the hardest working guy in the team and always putting others first and making sure that we could put the team first in the right direction that we wanted to go.
And what was that like at the end, like looking back at kind of the work you've done in terms of putting in for the leadership and looking back with the squad? How was that?
To be honest, bro, I haven't really reflected on things like that, and I'm not really big on stats or championships, bro. It's more the impact or the influence that I did have in those environments that I'm sort of want to leave my mark or legacy. But yeah, the only thing I honestly remember from the Sevens, bro, is the 80, 60, 40s and the running, bro. Like, we won a few titles, we won a couple of gold medals, bro. But you ask any Sevens player, bro, and they'll just tell you the same. All they remember is just the ruthless training that we had to go through.
Funny, man. And so like you're in the Sevens world, when does it start to become apparent that you could transfer to 15s, bro? Because like a lot of people just see 7s and 15s, don't really realize how big a jump it is, but particularly go from 7s into the loose forwards as well. Like when does that become apparent, bro?
Yeah, so I think it was doing 7s and playing under 19s, under 21s. That's before the under 20s came about, so you could play both. And I was sort of in the Waikato NPC mix as well, so I was trying to do both. But when I was playing 7s, I was probably 100, 103 kgs at best, and that's not big enough to play 15. So when I had to make the decision, I was like either going to be a 7s player or a 15s player. I talked to a lot of people that I trusted and respected, and most of them would say, all of them told me to go play 15s. And even Titch's philosophy was trying to get as many players he could into the All Blacks or into Super Rugby. That was his sort of philosophy. Like that's what he sort of went on. And once I got all that support, I was just went for it. And I played for Waikato in 2003. I'm out of high school and I was still like 100 kgs, whatever. So I knew I sort of had to snap out of that 7s budge, which was hard because I love 7s and I still do. I think it's a great game and a great tool for younger players to express themselves, to get fit, to get base fitness. I wouldn't have the cardio or the base fitness I have now if it wasn't for what I've been through in the 7s. Once I realised that I had to go 15s, and I sort of had to snap out of it and I had to work really, really hard for the next 3 or 4 years to convince people that I wasn't a 7s player anymore. That like that's the tag I always got stuck with. It's like, he's just a 7s player trying to play 15s. So I worked really hard on my game to try and change people's perspective on it.
Yeah, I remember like a lot of time we'll read from it from a media perspective, but it always say, he lacks physicality because of that 7s background. How was it a mental change or a physical change? Like how did you go from getting rid of that tag?
It was a bit of both. Probably more the mental side of things. Physically, I love to train. I love to train hard. So putting weight on wasn't a problem, but it's just more the mental side and understanding my role, what my role was as a blindside or loose forward in the modern game. And it wasn't until 2012 when Dave Rennie, Tom Coventry, Andrew Strawbridge and Wayne Smith took over at the Chiefs. That's when I really, really understood my game, and I had to change my game because the year before I just got dropped the day of the All Black World Cup team. So that year they just broke my game down and just made it real simple and clear and what my role was, and I really understand what it meant to be a physical loose forward, and from there it's more the mental mind shift of that.
You probably had a high of 2010 when you go to the Commonwealth Games, win the gold medal, and then obviously 2011 going through that pretty good season, coming close, played a test I think, and then getting that news. We were discussing this before, but how does someone like yourself, how do you go about processing that kind of mentally and then going, well, yes, I'm going to stay in New Zealand and give it a crack?
Well, that wasn't the first time that I've had a massive disappointment in my career. I know I've had a very long and I guess a successful career, 18 years now. But in the 18 years, there was so much disappointments and setbacks that I had to go through, and that 2011 World Cup was just one of them that I had to go through, and I went through a lot more when I was younger as well. And I remember Eric Rush always saying, it's only one man's opinion. And so when I missed out, I used that. And also my father would always say, God always has a bigger plan for you. So I just had to believe and trust in that I'm human, and missing out on a team like that is very disappointing, and you're angry, you're gutted, and all the emotions that of disappointment comes out. But just taking on the chin and knowing that if I keep working hard, then there's going to be something bigger for me at the end of it. So just knowing that there's something bigger or another door that's going to open, that this isn't it. The hardest thing about that 2011 World Cup one was we just played South Africa in Port Elizabeth the day before, and they pretty much chucked on the young fellas with a few of the older boys. So I think from 2008, between 2008 and 2011 when I debuted, I think I'd played like maybe 6 or 7 test matches.
Yeah, I remember.
Like when I went on India tour, I knew I was going to play against Italy and Scotland. Like I knew those are my two games. Yeah. All the young boys knew that they were playing Scotland or Italy. Like you're going to get one of those games. Like you weren't going to play against England, Ireland, or Wales. You knew you were going to play those two. So I think that period I played. I think it was 7 or 8 test matches, and then got chucked in against Africa, which was awesome, a good opportunity to express ourselves. But we ended up losing that game, and then that night of that test match, they said, tomorrow we'll ring you, stay by your phones, we'll ring you at 5 o'clock or something to see if you, not 5 o'clock, like 11 o'clock to tell you if you made the squad or not. So if you got the phone call, you didn't make the squad. And I was sitting in my room, and I was nervous as, and got to 11, no phone call, and I was just like, I was like buzzing. I was like, made the team. And then I was like, are you sure? Then 11:30, still no phone call. And then texting the boys, I was like, you guys got a phone call? Like, nah. I was like, oh, yeah, congrats. But and then 12 o'clock, bring. I was just like, picked up the phone. It was it was one of I think it was Birdie, our mental skills coach. Like, oh, he come down to the meeting. I was just like, went down, told me that I didn't make it. And then we had a team meeting, bro, at like 1 o'clock. And there was 3 of us at the time, me, Jose Gear, and White Crockett, all sitting in the team room. So all the other boys that made the World Cup, everyone was like happy, cheering, and happy for them. But the 3 of us were in that team meeting. It was like awkward as we had to fly from South Africa back to New Zealand with the boys. And we landed in Sydney, and the boys had to go play the Wallabies in Brisbane that following week. So they went left to Brisbane. And then the 3 of us went right to Auckland. And when we landed in Auckland, all the media were at the Auckland airport. They didn't know the squad, but they knew that 3 players got sent home because the announcement wasn't until the following Wednesday or something. And then 3 of us walked out of the airport, and I was just like, just everything, all the lights, cameras were at us, just asking questions. We weren't allowed to say a word, and we just carried walking on. But so to go back to what you're asking, like how did I get through it? It's like I had a great support crew around me, just surrounded myself around great friends, and this got me through. And my upbringing got me through it pretty much. And what I sort of at a very young age, I saw that rugby was just a game, and there's bigger things in life. And missing out on a rugby team is just part of it. So
I've obviously had the same call in 2015. But like now when I look back, I just kind of like laugh at that. Not laugh at that time of my life, but I kind of just look back and be like, man, it wasn't as big as I thought it was. Like, do you look back at that time in your life and just be like, Father, like it's actually like no one actually really cares about it. Do you know what I mean? Like
you will know yourself, like when you're grinding for something so big, like you're grinding for the All Black jersey, and you're working your ass off every day for it, and you just get caught up in that bubble, and you just think that rugby's this, rugby's that, and everything, and then you get hit with a reality check like that. It sort of puts everything into perspective and humbles you a bit, and makes you just realise like there are bigger things in this world than just a footy game. And I think you sort of open your mind to the world. And also, when I missed out on the, when was it? The Olympics 2016. I missed out on that squad. I got home from camp after missing the squad. And my son, he's like, he didn't care. He's just like, I was gutted as. I was like, and he's like, Dad, I also want to play Transformers. Let's watch Transformers. Let's play Transformers. And I was just like, once again, there was just like something just clicked in my head. It was like, you know, bro, it's all right. You gave it everything you had. You tried your best. It didn't work out. Your son is sitting here, wants to watch Transformers and play Transformers. You know, it's like just another little, like you talked about, Sobs, just another little reality check where you're just like, oh, at the end of the day, it's a footy game.
And so moving on, so obviously that massive disappointment, and you touched on it before, Dave Rennie, Wayne Smith, Tom Coventry coming on board with the Chiefs. Obviously there's an opportunity. Jerome Kano had gone over to Japan at that time, and you had a really opportunity to bounce back from that disappointment and kind of really solidify yourself as the Premier Six in the country, bro. What was your mindset into that year, and how did those coaches influence you?
Yeah, well, it was a new era beginning at the Chiefs for us. And I guess we still had the great values that we have, or everyone's had the phrase Chiefs mana, but we still had the values and the roots of that the previous years. But when Dave and the coaching staff came in, they really enhanced it. We really understood and knew what it meant to be a Chief, and the leaders done an awesome job just to drive that. And to be honest, in 2012, after the World Cup, I was just like, I had the mindset of like, no, you know, stuff it. I'm just going to go out there and just play rugby, do what I love to do, and just have fun doing it. And that was pretty much my whole mindset going into it. The All Black team got named for that year, 2012, and I missed out. And it was just by luck. Victor got injured and Adam Thompson got injured, I think. So there's no more Sixers in the country. And they had one more test match, and it was in Hamilton. So they rang me up. I was like, oh, yo, I'm free. I'll jump on. And,
I got shit to do.
Yeah, I got my boots, yeah.
I got my boots. I was like, I really didn't know. I didn't expect to play or start or whatever. And they started me. And from there, went on to play another 40-odd games. So, just that mindset of just like, yeah, you know what, stuff, I'm just going to go out there. I had a bigger purpose, I guess, a bigger cause with the Chiefs, and really driving Chiefs mana and really driving our standards and values and what it meant to be a Chief, and playing for something bigger than championships or jerseys. So I think that really, really helped me get through that sort of period of my career.
Yeah. And like for obviously where a lot of our listeners are from the UK, explain Chiefs mana and what's that about? And you talk about what it means to be a Chief, but what do you mean by Chiefs mana and kind of the foundations that's built on?
Man, it's just it's hard to explain if you don't come from that environment. And
yeah.
Well, also it's just a value and standard and a way of living. You know, we're a group that works really, really hard. Dave Rennie always says it, you're a good bugger. You care about your community and where you come from. You understand your role. You understand what it means to be a Chief. And there's also the on-field side of it, where we sort of, Chiefs mana sort of is like being physical, being relentless, being skillful and all that. So sort of two sides to Chiefs mana, but in all it's just a way of living.
I've got a funny story about your physicality, actually, Hunger. And so in 2012, I would have been 19 years old, I think. And I remember we came up to Hamilton and we played you guys. And I was only a young kid, so I must have come off the bench or something. And I remember being in the bottom of a ruck, and and this big fist comes out of nowhere, bro. Just clobbers me, bro. Just clobbers me, bro. And I look up, and I'm just a young kid, so I'm like, oh, like whatever. And I look up, and I see you, and I was just like, oh, you're a good bro. And I just, I can't do anything to this dude. He's gonna freaking knock me out. But that was one of my first memories of you, bro. And it just cracked me up how you you talk about physicality, because I've seen it firsthand and I've witnessed it. So very physical in those rucks when the refs aren't looking, bro.
Because oh, come on, bro. There's these rules, bro. You sort of just push over the boundaries. But so where I learned that was once again I had great leaders and people to look up to when I was in the sevens. And guys like Matua Parkinson, Eric Rush again, Ruta Puki, like those guys always taught me, said, make sure you hit first, just get in there. And I was in the same situation as you, Sops, and I was at the sevens camp, we were playing our trial games or whatever, and Matua Parkinson was just getting stuck into me, and I was just like, bro, this guy, bro. I was like, everyone knows he's a mean scrapper, so I wasn't going to do anything. I was just like, oh, yeah, just keep going. And then I think it was Rushy. Rushy's like, bro, just give it back to him. It's all good. And the next ruck, I just flew and I just did this big, good, solid legal clean out. And Mutty just turned around and said to me, he goes, "There, the boy." And then from then, I was like, ooh, here we go.
Yeah, bro, I didn't have the balls to do that during the game. I was like too scared. I was like,
I was the same.
No, yeah, all good.
I remember my first game against Wellington or the Hurricanes, and I was up against JC, Rodney Serralo, and Chris Marsoy, and I'm telling you now, the scariest and baddest loose forward trio you will ever meet in your life. And me, I was like 20 or 21 years old, and we're scrummaging, and I sort of held JC back a bit, just out of his jersey. Next minute, crack on the jaw, and he said, "Can't sit on here," but he said, "Beep, don't ever do that again, you beep, young fella." And I was just like, I just dropped my nuts. I was like, "Ooh." So, I learned those sort of things from those fellas.
Wow, for me and Carl's sake, I hope you got Lima a good one, bro, because he deserves it. And so those 2012 and 13 years, you guys win the championship, bro, driven by Chiefs Mana. You guys come out with your own haka. Really connected to Māori roots, like pretty amazing, massive cultural shift in rugby, I think. How was that for you?
Yeah, bro, it was awesome. And if you know the area of the Chiefs area, it's very, very pronounced and Māoridom. So to know who we are and who we represent, that was a big part of it. Knowing our area, our franchise, our people. You got the Te Arawa people, Tūhoi, the Tainui people, Mani Poto, so it just goes on. So it's very, very strong and Māoridom. So all our boys got involved, the Pākehā, the Island boys, we had an English fella, Matt Simmons, get involved, and they just loved it. And, Māoridom is really big about knowing who you are and where you come from, and that was a very big part of Chiefs Mana. And we had our river, our awa, our Waikato River, and that sort of connected all of us and binded all of us as one team. And we had our maunga, our mountain. So just really tapping into those sort of little gold nuggets really, really paid massive dividends at the end of each season, because it sort of just really glued us and bound us together as a team.
Yeah, so no, bro, and I think, well, particularly for you being like English parents and staying connected to your Māori roots and everything, and coming through the Chiefs and kind of driving that Chiefs Mana culture is massive. How does that then transfer to the All Blacks, bro? Because you became an integral part of the leadership and driving culture there as well. Obviously the kaya for the Huckers as well, bro. How does that all translate?
Yeah, I think it is a natural progression, bro. And once again, I go back to my values and upbringing and the roots that I had. My roots are real strong and deep and sort of family feelings and serving and helping others in need, or just putting people before you. So once again, when I went into that All Black environment, same thing. I was just being me, pretty much. Wasn't trying to do anyone else. Just being myself and leaving my mark in that jersey and in that environment the best that I could. So
yeah.
And Hunger Bro. So obviously my first experience with you was in 2015 when I ended up making the team, and I felt incredibly welcomed by you and a lot of the other senior boys, Jerome and Kevin and all that. Did you boys have sort of the same mentorship from sort of guys in the team when you were young guys, or did that come from sort of like guys in the Chiefs who took you under your wing? Like, who were those guys that sort of took you under their wing and kind of helped you through, or was that, as you already said, guys like Rushy and that? Did you as your career progressed? Was it anybody different, or was it coaches, or who was it?
Yeah, after talking to you guys all about this, the Sevens actually did play a massive role in that sort of environment and culture thing, because as T said, like, it was a real small group. I think it was like, back in the day, it was only 10 of us and maybe 15 in the whole squad the whole year. So it's a very, very small group to be real tight, and you're with each other 24/7 pretty much, and you're going through hell every day at training, and you're pushing yourself mentally. So I think now, really thinking about it, and after talking to you guys about it, I think that really played a massive role. And then when I was in the All Black environment, Kiwi Mialamu, the big Uso, he took me under his wing and looked after me. And after every time I got dropped, there was a game against France in Dunedin, and I played like crap. But the whole world knew about it because Ted just threw me under the bus, and I was pretty much the only reason why we lost. And it was all over the media.
Wow.
And that was pretty hard to take. Just being a young fella, and Kiwi and Ronnie Suyalo sort of took me under their wing, and they just looked after me, and they made sure, I was uplifted, and they kept empowering me, which was awesome. So obviously, once again, you have that sort of aroha and that sort of love. You sort of pass it on to the next generation, and making sure that I can empower the next group of young guys to come through just to be themselves and to shine.
Moving, like, you solidify yourself for those what was it, from 2000 and the next year you made in 213?
Yep.
End of 212, and then progressing to that 215 World Cup, bro. You're hitting some peak form, bit of competition, but you were kind of right there or thereabouts. Talk us about that journey to the World Cup, bro, and kind of, I know you talk about, I suppose, unfortunate situations, but another one came up at the World Cup. Tell us about that, bro.
Yeah, so just took every opportunity I had, and I think it was 2012 to 15. Then Lome Jerome decided to come back from his making his $1 million in Japan, which was awesome because, to be honest, he gets the best out of me. Every time I play him, I always know I need to be at my best. So, and we're real close. We've been close since high school, so we're just pushing each other every day, which was awesome. But I'll touch wood, I never get injured, or I've never had any major injuries. And in 2015, at the end of Super Rugby, for some reason, I just keep pulling my calf, and I just couldn't get it right. I just keep pulling my calf, and made the World Cup squad. Got to the first game, I didn't play the first game, and then the next game I was about to play, the first training, I pulled my calf again, and I was just like, I think I'm done. And I was like, I just didn't want to go home. And lucky enough, Shag, or Steve Hansen at the time, said, "Nah, it's okay. We're going to keep you for the World Cup." So that was a pretty hard pill to swallow because I worked so hard for the 4 years to get to that one stage, the stage of the World Cup. But then, once again, because I had all those setbacks and tough times in my career before, that sort of built me strong to be able to take that sort of disappointment and move on to finding something that will benefit the team and be positive to the team to help them to achieve what they needed to achieve.
Yeah, because I remember reading a lot in the papers post the World Cup. A lot of the articles and people who are interviewed talk about how integral you were to winning the World Cup just because of the culture you drove off the field, particularly with the dirties and all that, and keeping everyone motivated, pushing the other players, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so once my calf was, I keep pulling my calf, I was a slim chance of playing any game, and then it came right for the last pool game against Tonga. And I remember they said that everyone was going to get a run, so, I thought I was going to get a run. And then Steve put me aside and he goes, I need to talk to you. I know you're a good man and you'll do what's best for the team, but we're going to stick with Jerome, Richie and Rito just to get combinations right for the quarterfinal. So, and I was just so gutted, and I was pissed off. And then all of a sudden, captain's run, Richie can't play. So I'm just there's my chance. So I got onto the bench for that game. But anyway, when they told me that, or when I done my calf and that, I've got a real good friend, Clive Bourne, who's got nothing to do with rugby, just outside of rugby. He's quite high up in the Mormon church, whatever. But he just said that even Jesus served and washed people's feet. And I'm not super religious, but I am I have my faith in that. And then I just took that, and I just you know what, I'm just gonna go off. I'm going to do what's best for the team, help this team achieve the goal, which was to lift the World Cup. And I've done everything in my power to be able to do that. I became, I guess, the go-to water guy, team man.
Nothing wrong with that, bro.
Yeah, I know. But at the time, you know,
yeah,
it was all good. But then you think about it, it's like, oh, sorry. At the time, I was just like, oh, I have to do the water again, you know. Like, but then, like thinking back now, I'm just like, you know, grateful that I had the opportunity to be able to be that close to the boys and still give my 5 cents. You know, the coaches will give a message from the top, and you'll be like, "Hunger, make sure you give the message." And you're like, "Yeah, sweet." And then tell them a whole different message. Like,
oh, go ahead, hire that dude.
Yeah. So I just make sure I just done what I best for the boys.
Oh, man. That's cool, man. That's cool. And obviously, I was lucky enough to sort of be in that team in 2015 and didn't make it. But I remember my debut week, bro, and you were there in South Africa in Joburg, and you ended up running sort of like a haka practice, you know, because there was a thing. I think it was me, Broadhurst, who else? Maybe Cody Taylor or Wise. I can't remember. We were in your room, bro, and I remember you just cracking up at Broadhurst for his haka. Was there anyone at the World Cup that you kind of had to teach or like sort of get their haka like a little bit better?
No, so like I don't know if it's tradition in All Blacks, but I think everyone's just expected to know the haka when you become an All Black because everyone does it since they're kids. So there's no real practice whatsoever unless someone like yourself asks, or you know, it's quite daunting doing the haka the first time in front of 60,000 screaming South Africans. So, but in the World Cup year, we wanted to do something different, and we wanted to leave our own mark in the haka, and that's where the triangle shape came about.
Oh, yeah.
So we had a lot of practice on that just because it was something new and something different, and had a different understanding to what we wanted it to be. So we had a few haka practices just to make sure that we got over that. But now there's been some cringe moments, like bro Retallick's like played almost 100 test matches and he still can't do a haka, bro. He gives everything he's got, which I support, which I love. Like he goes hardcore, but he always wanders his way to the back, and he's like the biggest dude, so you can still see him, and you just try not to. Like you're like, bro, come on. You play like 90-something test matches, very surely.
Now you're wrong, mate.
Yeah.
Funny. And what does haka mean to you, bro, in terms of leading it, and what did that mean to you being a part of the All Blacks environment and leading the haka?
Yeah, bro, to be honest, it's a huge honour. Like when Kevy and Richie asked me to lead it, I was like, bro, hell no, bro. Like you two are like got so much mana in this group. It's like it doesn't matter if you're Māori, Pacific Island, or whatever. It's like you know, it comes down to mana, bro. And I was like, there's no way I was going to do it with guys like Richie and Kevy Milano in the team. And then Kevy's like, nah, you're doing it. I was like, oh, okay, sweet. So I was practicing for about every day in my room, just making sure I can stuff it up, because I think the first one I had to do was couple of ponga, which is pretty hardcore when you've had guys like Tana and Piri lead it. But for me it was a great honour to be able to lead it, and it's just a way for me to sort of sign off as a team at the end of the preparation, I guess. Like you're going into battle, and a lot of people sort of, especially over here in the UK and France, they sort of misunderstand what the haka is. Like we're paying respect to the opposition, but ultimately we're sort of connecting as a team, you know, to our brother left and right of us and behind us or in front of us. Just, you know, making sure that we're ready to go and we're sort of connecting together. So it's always a massive honour to be able to lead the haka.
Out of the haka leader, who was your favourite haka leader growing up? Who was your favourite?
I still remember Tana's one, and
bro.
Couple of Pongo first came out, and to see him do it with his dreadlocks shaking, he looked like a real hoary from up the hill. So he was awesome to see him lead it. And Piri's probably the GOAT at leading the haka, just because he's straight ugly.
No, funny. And then after the World Cup, bro, what happens there? You gas overseas? Is it over to Japan, or you had the Olympics after that? What?
Yeah, we had the Olympics, but I somehow my manager worked a deal of a lifetime, so I had the opportunity to go play in Japan and then come back for the sevens and then go back to Japan and come back for Super and then go back to Japan, sort of thing. So I was doing that back and forth. and I love Japan. Japan was awesome, an awesome experience. That was the first time leaving New Zealand and really opened up my eyes to the world.
Yeah.
And sort of getting out of that the New Zealand bubble, and just really seeing what the world really is, and different culture, different language, different food, different style of rugby. To be honest, I struggled my first year. It was just totally different, out of my comfort zone. Wasn't used to the style of rugby, the language. Probably ate too much sushi and rice.
Too many carbs.
Yeah, but after that, just loved it and loved my whole experience in Japan. Awesome people, very respectful. Just loved it.
I guess now in your stage now in France, and probably like the quarter of the team now, kind of like, where do you see your role, like being in Toulon, having had this quite storied career, and how do you approach a team? They may not necessarily know you as well as kind of we've known you, because we've kind of, we've felt like we've been on your journey, being an All Black supporter and watching rugby all on our side of the world, and then kind of coming into this space. Like, how do you approach that?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, bro, because over here, they know every single rugby player and they know everything about you, bro. It's just like in New Zealand, we don't, like, when I first came here, I hardly knew any French players until I obviously played here,
bro.
Yeah. Like, that's no disrespect to them. Like, it's just like, in New Zealand, we just worry about ourselves and we worry about, like, we know every single Super Rugby player, but over here, I knew maybe 2 or 3 French players, like Bustero. And that's it, that's it. But like, that's no disrespect to them. The hardest thing for me is, like, because I've had such a influence in New Zealand at a leadership role. When I came here, it's the language. Because I can't speak French. I can sort of understand it, but I can't speak French. So I just made a real conscious effort, especially the last 2 seasons here in Toulon. I went by a saying that Ray Lewis would say it's not what they hear, it's what they see. So I just made sure that I sort of done that anyway throughout my career. Always make sure I led by actions, but I really made sure that I could do it here. And if the boys did ask questions, because some of them can speak English and pretty good English, then I would obviously give them my advice or give them what I think. But I just always make sure, and I still do make sure I'm sort of leading the way through my actions and not by what I'm saying.
Like, your career's gone on for so long, nearly 20 years now, your professional career. How
still look 26.
Yeah.
How do you keep the body like that? Going through all the big hits, and I know Lima doesn't do many tackles, so I can understand him going for a bit longer. But someone like yourself, right in the mixer. I just
love the game, to be honest, and I just fly into things, bro, and do everything 100%. I just think also going back to my roots, bro, when I was playing sevens, and the fundamentals I learned about work ethic, putting in the effort, your attitude, mental toughness. And when you get to my age at 36, it's a bit of a morale booster, if you get what I mean. Like, I'm 36 and I'm training with 21-year-olds or playing against 23-year-olds and beating them at Broncos or still smashing them in the gym, whatever. You're like, that's pretty mean. Like, sort of gives you a bit of a booster. And I don't want it to be used as an excuse. I don't want to say, because Messam's 36, that's all right. He doesn't have to do it. He's old, or he had a shit game because he's an old fellow or whatever. So I try not to use that as an excuse. And since I was 16 and I had that meeting with Titch when my life changed, I got into healthy living, healthy habits, physical and active, healthy lifestyle. And I've just had that all the way through my career. And to be honest, bro, I've probably been a bit of a psycho when it comes to eating and training. Like I said, bro, I ate boiled chicken and broccoli for like 5-6 years, bro. Like, bro, who does that? That's not right.
Yeah, you have to be psycho to do that, bro.
Yeah, and then, bro, I had KFC for the first time since high school. It was about a month ago at Ben Tamiafuna's house, of all places.
Of course,
since high school.
House.
Since high school, bro. And, bro, to be honest, I probably had McDonald's twice a year, if that, 3 times a year, if that's it, bro. And like, I'm real strict on what I eat and how I look after myself and look after my body. We didn't have sports science back in the day as well, so we just got flogged. So we just
bro,
got the shit ran out of us.
No such thing as overtraining back then, eh?
Nah, no such thing, bro. No such thing as GPS. And Rushy would always say, you needed you had a good training week to smash back 2 bottles of water. So none of that. So but as my career's gone on, I sort of understood sports science a bit more, and I could really look after my body a bit more. Even though I still smash myself, I probably still smash myself to this day. Like after every Super Rugby review, the trainer would say, "Oh, yep, you got good numbers, but you probably work too hard. You could probably ease off from that." But at the moment, I've just got no off switch. Like I just love to train, and I love to eat healthy. And one day I'll, or maybe not, hopefully not, but one day I can just turn it off and fall in my grave probably. Yeah, so this coronavirus is like, it's a sad situation what we're in, but it's a good opportunity for us in isolation to be better as a person or whatever you want to do. And there's a group of us at the moment trying the carnivore diet. So
are you on that?
Yeah, bro. Day 4, bro. And I'm sick. Like, I don't even like meat at the start off, and like I'm sick of meat already. And like, yeah, it's probably one of the hardest.
Back to the boiled chickens or not?
No, it's just meat pretty much. Yeah, that's all it is. So the first week it's just straight meat. Or we're doing with there's myself, Tim, Nana Williams, Augustine Pulu, and Sonny Bull doing it. And Sonny's on for the last 9 months, I think. So he's taking lead and just telling us what to do. So yeah, bro. And the first week you just eat meat, and then the following week you slowly add things in. So like you can add cheese, egg, or whatever. But the way he's explained it, it's a good way to reset the body. So it's good for the body just to reset. And we've done a bit of research and homework on it. Like I haven't just jumped in because the boys have jumped in. I make sure I'm doing it for the right reasons. And it's a good time to try it. Got no footy on. So it's a good time to reset the body. And but honestly, it's probably been one of the mentally toughest thing I've ever tried to do because, man, I'm sick of meat. It's day 4 already, bro, and I still got another freaking 20-something days to go. So.
How are you finding your energy levels and everything? Like, has it affected you, or is it just pretty sweet?
Nah, so the first 2 days I was down and out training, but yesterday and today I had really good sessions. I felt like I could train, longer and thing. But then the funny thing is, I dread having a feed day. Like I'm just like, I've got to have steak again. I've got to have mince. So energy levels have been awesome, and what I've done my study and research on that your energy levels go off the Richter, and looking forward to that part. But to answer your question about life after rugby, I honestly see myself still in rugby. I still want to play rugby. Having this little break probably adds another a year to my career. If any coaches out there listening, but I sort of want to try and crack 20 years. If I could crack 20 years, it would be pretty awesome achievement. So it's 2 more years. So who knows, bro? Touch wood, everything goes to plan. And if not, I guess I'll end up coaching somewhere or holding tackle bags or doing something to do involved with rugby anyway. So,
bro, just quickly. So did you play with Jimmy Gopeth then?
Yeah.
Wow, he's a straight.
That's how old I am, bro.
The last of the dying breed, my brother. Hey, you used to come through that era where it was like you came through like the old school ITM Cup crowds or NPC crowds were still getting like 35,000 at the cake.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so you've come through like sort of, like semi-professionalism. Like it is professional, but then, into like this day and age, which is, social media, you've had the best of it all.
Yeah, and that's all. I was thinking that today, bro, when I was coming on this podcast, it's like seeing you guys doing things like this, seeing Artie do his. It's like, bro, it's like awesome to see. Like back in the day, bro, you would have got a hiding for setting something up like this, bro. Like back in the day when you're a young fella, you just put your head down and you just work. You know what I mean? So coming through having my career pretty much goes through both sort of generations. It's awesome to see the growth in our players and what they'll be able to do, and like hopefully other players, not like yourselves, can sort of see the opportunity outside of rugby to grow and to give off their flavour for the month or for the year.
Yeah. No, I think it's important as well in terms of platform. Like, not many people get to listen firsthand to the mindset that you have, particularly with all the tribulations you've been through, for people to be able to hear that. And you talk about serving people, etc. It's not just within your team. You can reach a wider audience, and serve so many more people across a different platform.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the awesome thing about social media these days. Like, you can have a massive impact wherever. Like back in the day, the only impact you could have was in Hamilton, because you can't reach out. But now we can. Like I'm talking to you boys over in the UK. It's just like this is unreal.
What I'm impressed kind of your career, not only rugby, but you're actually just quite well rounded as well. So bit of a stint with the boxing, active on the presenting side. You're on code. Like, was that kind of always your thing? Doing some stuff outside of rugby? Was that kind of Liam Messam, the brand, or Liam Messam, the not rugby player?
Yes and no. Like I'm very aware and I understand my role as a leader, and I guess as a role model. A lot of young rugby players don't like to call themselves role models or see themselves as role models, but at the end of the day, you are, if you like it or not. And at a very young age, I sort of understood that role. And I guess I'm just grateful for the opportunity that the platform I do have, that I can be able to reach out to people and to help them grow or to whatever it may be. So I'm very cautious or very wary of the influence I can have on people. So I always make sure that I love training. I love being active. So that's why I get into all my training and my boxing and healthy eating. I love healthy eating. So I'm always promoting that. I'm always trying to, and again, it goes back to my upbringing, always trying to help people that are worse off than me, or people that might need, a hand or need a guidance or need a kick up the bum, whatever it may be. But the TV side of things, I'm not really into that. That was just sort of a one-off for a couple of seasons. The producer of the show just asked me if I would be willing to do it. So for some different sort of circumstance, so I just said yes, jumped on it. Was totally uncomfortable. Wasn't into it whatsoever. Live TV's not the one. Like, I think I just sat there, bro, and I had to say one question out of the whole show, and that was it. So that was my whole job. But yeah, I think just understanding as you get older, your sort of responsibilities and sort of goes back to what I want to people to have off from me instead of the other way around. I guess like I want to leave a mark and leave a legacy, leave a positive impact on people.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, man. And is that the same for those Bonds ads that you used to do as well?
That's just for the straight free undies, bro.
Yeah.
It's jockey, bro. It's
Jockey, apologies.
If
Jockey.
Jockey are listening, can chances of sending some up to France?
Yeah, and Dublin. No, awesome.
Yeah, it's funny those jockey ads, bro, because you have to chuck in a sock in your so all the Brown brothers are getting like 2 or 3 extra socks.
Bro, do you have any regrets about your time in New Zealand, or if you could do anything different, would you do anything different, bro?
I wouldn't say I have any regrets. Like I would not be where I am today, the position I am today with what I've been through, like all the disappointments, all the hard knocks, all the setbacks, all the good stuff as well, all the championships, all the influence that I had on people. I wouldn't be where I am today in the situation that I am. So to be honest, bro, I've probably be no regrets. Maybe when I'm a little bit older, I can really sit down and think about it. But at this point in time, I don't think there is.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, man. Looking at, we're doing some study today and just looking at, I suppose, the ups and downs of your career. I'm not sure if there'd be many other rugby players who have been through the roller coaster like you have, bro. It's pretty amazing to see like the career longevity you've had and where you are now, and still building yourself into that fitness space and everything, bro. It's awesome.
But just quickly, Hunga, I just want to touch on sort of like, you're obviously in France, and you're in France by yourself, and your family's in New Zealand. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. How does that all work, bro, for yourself?
Yeah, bro. It's this year's probably been the hardest year because my oldest is 10 and my youngest is 5 this year. And when they're younger, it's okay because they sort of don't understand. But now they're understanding that, hold on, Dad's not here, and I'm just missing that the connection between the father and son sort of connection, and having them around. And I know a lot of parents at the moment on social media like, oh, I'm sick of my kids already. It's day 6 or something and homeschooling. So I would give anything in the world to be in this situation right now to be able to homeschool my kids or take them to the park or whatever. So, I like we said with technology these days, I FaceTime my kids probably 3 times a day. They probably get, they get sick of me. I think I get 30 seconds out of my youngest. He's like, yeah, hello, bye. And if I don't play Fortnite with my older son, then I don't really get to talk to him. So I have to I have to teach myself how to play Fortnite just so I can play with him and his boys. So
you're just carrying the med kits, bro?
That's it, bro. I'm the doctor, bro. I'm the best doctor out there, boys.
Just coming to save everyone, eh?
Big pots, bro. That's me, bro. The bazooka, the medical bazooka. I just carry that.
Yeah,
but it's tough, bro. To be honest, this is the hardest I've found it this year, and being in isolation for 17 days now. At the start, I liked it because for 18 years of my career, I've always woken up to a schedule. Like, you got to be here, you got to be this, you got to be here at 9 o'clock, wherever it was. But now I can, wake up whenever I want, train wherever I want. But now it's sort of day 17, 18, 19. I'm sort of, missing my kids, missing my family, want to people interaction, talk to people. But it's just one of those things, again, like, I'm just grateful that we've got FaceTime and be able to FaceTime my kids. And when I do see them, then it's, I'm stuck to them like glue. Like, they can't get rid of me. Like, I'm just soaking it all up.
Talk us about the nickname Hunger.
So, long story cut short, because I told you I was like, I was pretty ruthless with my nutrition. And when I moved to Waikato, I had the older players looked after me really well. A guy called Keith Lohan. I moved in with a guy called Keith Lohan.
It's my favourite midfielder back in the day.
He had the biggest bum in world rugby. I didn't understand why until I moved in with him. And so after each campaign or season, he'll just blow out. He'll have like chips, biscuits, everything, chocolate, and I just thought that was the norm. But obviously it's not. But anyway, he took me out for lunch one day with the boys, and I had trained. I hadn't eaten. I was starving. And we got to like a Chinese place or something, and like back then, like I said, I was crazy in the head. So I sat through lunch for about 3 hours, just not eating, and I was so hungry, and I was just like starving. Got back to my mate's house, had boiled chicken and broccoli, and he's like, "Hunger, hungry was the original name." So the OGs in that team will call me Hungry, and then the Fobs couldn't say hungry, so they say Hunger. Hunger.
And
so guys like City and Wax, they couldn't say hungry, so they had to say Hunger.
That's sick. That's a sick nickname.
That's sick.
Something with all you boys is Doc's brothers, and even just through this hour they've been talking. You've mentioned a few of those boys, like, which they obviously play a big part of that. Like, for you having that really close group circle of friends, but making sure that you guys all stay pretty connected. I guess you whilst you've all got your own lives and families.
But to be honest, it's like super important to have that sort of bond and connections with people outside your circle of rugby, because you just need an out. You just need a let where you can just download on your brothers or your mates. I'm grateful that I got the Doc's brothers boys, and it wasn't until Wax's passing that we realised how shit we were at staying connected with each other. And when he passed, we made a promise to each other that we'll always stay in contact and we'll always stay in touch. And we've got a WhatsApp group, so we just drop texts now and then, which is awesome to see. And because Wax played a big part in all our lives. Like, for me, he sort of taught me not to take a backward step and to stand up for what I believe in was right. And like, bro, he was a scary mofo, bro. Like, if you got on the wrong side of him, he was a scary man. But no matter what, bro, he always had my back. And like, I've been through ups and downs, and he was always one of the few that always had my back and was always there and always supported me, bro. So we just try and represent his name and represent what he stands for in Doc's Brothers in the best way we can. And I've got that, and I've got my carver group, where it's just a bunch of guys where we can just sit around the carver bowl and just talk about everyday life. And I've also got my schoolmates, which I think is really important. Like, obviously you boys we're all school together, and how cool is it that you guys are still mates to this day? And I'm very grateful that I still got my mates from high school that we still stay in touch and talk with. So having those sort of groups outside of your bubble is is a massive key to being to where you want to be.
That's awesome, bro. And I think particularly in high performance sport where there's so much pressure, bro, those pillars are so important, eh? It's awesome, bro.
Start, bench, cut.
Ooh.
DC, you got DC, Beaver, and Cruds.
Start what? Start, bench one, cut one.
Yeah.
Start, bench, cut. Yeah. DC, Beaver, and Cruds.
Oh. Bro, you're an
This is
This is a bit of a laugh, bro.
Bro, what are we going off, bro? We're going off like rugby talent, or are we going off? Right, here we go.
We'll go off the whole package. We'll go off the whole package.
No.
You think?
I'm going rugby here. So we'll go DC because he's the GOAT. We'll start DC. Then have the little magician Cruds come off the bench, and then I'll have to cut me old mate Beaver. But then that's okay because I've been cut as well. So me and Beaver will go and go hang out at the pub.
Nice one, bro.
Nice one, bro.
Oh, I got one more. Mine's a little bit of a mistake. But it's so you just won a championship wherever you are. You just won a championship. It's day 3. It's day 3. Who are you picking up the phone to call for day 4?
One person?
Yeah, one person.
Who's going to answer?
Who's going to answer and bring around a 24 box of what is it, Waikato draft or whatever it is?
Yeah. Well, we both know Muller would pick up the phone, but I don't think he'll bring it back. Bring Waikato draft over. Ooh. I want to say me old mate Beaver.
Who are you?
Stephen Donald.
Oh, Beaver.
Yeah.
Stephen Donald.
Great show.
Love it.
Nice.
Yeah. The greatest white man alive. Giving battlers hope all over the world, bro, that fellow.
I actually messaged him. Hopefully he might
He's
jump on the
agreed to
pod, he
come on,
reckons. Yeah. So
I'll ask him about his movie, bro, and ask him how legit that is. Cut me, bro. His movies cut me deep, eh?
Why?
Oh, bro, because me and him, like, we both got, like, the three players that got dropped in 11, he was the 4th player. So he was the other one that got dropped, but he wasn't with us at the time. So me and him obviously played ITM Cup or EPC during the World Cup. So me and him spent a lot of time together during those tough times. And a lot of time together, and not once was I mentioned in that freaking movie. And I was just I was like, oh, okay. Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. See, there's bro.
Good, mate.
Yeah, I'm still cut about that. That was a shit kick anyway, bro.
Yeah. Just shaved it.
You almost missed, eh?
Yeah.
You almost missed, bro. His bloody size small jersey.
Yeah, bro, he needs to be eating some boiled chicken, man.
Yeah, but let's not talk about him. There's enough about him.
Yeah.
All good, Hunger. We just want to say thank you for coming on the show.
Cheers, bro.
Nah, thanks for the opportunity, boys. Like I said, it's first time doing one of these things, bro. I'm pretty nervous all day. So
Yeah, bro, it's been a privilege, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
too easy, boys.
Right. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, mods. Peace.
See you, brother. See you, boys.